So he was like, how am I supposed to help build a palace when I don't even have any arms and legs? And if I don't help, then what's he gonna chop off because I don't have any arms and legs? Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Leanna if you're new, and welcome to episode 12 of Makeup and Mythology, a series I'm doing on my channel where I do my makeup and also tell you an ancient myth. Last time, since it was close to Valentine's Day, we did the myth of the lunar matchmaker god in Chinese mythology and the red string of fate that ties soulmates together. So before we get into it, I just wanted to quickly announce that Makeup and Mythology is now going to be a weekly thing. That's right, one episode every week, every Wednesday at 12 p.m. PST. So turn on your notifications, set a weekly reminder that this is when Makeup and Mythology is coming out, and don't miss a single episode. I said I was going to do weekly uploads if the series did well, and honestly it's not doing that well. But those of you who do watch really engage a lot with my videos, which I really love, so it's really worth it to me. Plus I really love mythology and I have faith in this series, so fuck it, I'm gonna keep doing it. So for this week we're doing an Indonesian myth, and that is the myth of Dewi Sri, the goddess of rice and fertility. I honestly know nothing about Indonesian culture. The only thing I really know is that white people love going to Bali for vacation, and honestly it looks pretty rad, so I would also like to go in my lifetime. But anyway, I'm excited to cover this myth and learn something new today, so here we go. So the name Dewi Sri is translated to Goddess Sri, where Dewi literally means goddess. She is a pre-Hinduism, pre-Islam goddess, and according to Wikipedia, is still worshipped on the Indonesian islands of Java and Bali today. So she originated in Java, but after the adoption of Hinduism, she became associated with the Hindu goddess Sri Lakshmi. They are kind of coupled together to be one goddess, one entity that represents wealth and prosperity. She is depicted as a young, beautiful woman, slim yet curvaceous, and because of the Hindu influence, she fits into the whole typical Hindu goddess aesthetic. So the myth goes like this. Once upon a time, far, far away in the heavenly kingdom, Batara Guru, the god of gods, commanded all the gods and goddesses to pitch in their powers to build him a new palace. And he was like, you have to. You don't have a choice. If you don't do it, I'll chop off all your arms and legs. So upon hearing this, one of the gods, Antaboga, or Anataboga, was super anxious because he didn't have any arms and legs. So he was like, how am I supposed to help build a palace when I don't even have any arms and legs? And if I don't help, then what's he gonna chop off because I don't have any arms and legs? He was shaped like a serpent, you see. So in his emotional torment, he went to Batara Narada, Batara Guru's younger brother, for help. And Batara Narada was like, what the fuck? I don't know, man. Don't ask me. So Antaboga was super upset, and he started crying, and 3 of his teardrops fell onto the ground. And upon touching the ground, his teardrops became 3 beautiful eggs that looked like pearls. So then Batara Narada was like, hey, you should offer these to my brother to appease him, so he won't be mad that you won't be helping him build his palace. And Antaboga was like, that's a good idea. Big brain. So Antaboga put the eggs in his mouth, which I don't imagine is very sanitary, but it's heaven, So he slithered on his way to see Batara Guru, balls in his mouth, and an eagle came up to him and started asking him questions, which, he could not answer because he had balls in his mouth, and, he couldn't talk. So the eagle was like, ugh, you're not responding to me? Who do you think you are? So he attacked Antaboga, and as a result, 1 egg fell out of his mouth onto the earth and shattered. So Anta tried to hide in the bushes, but the bird wasn't done yet. His pride was too great, and the second attack left Antaboga with only 1 egg left. The 2 eggs that fell to the earth became Twin Boar Kalabuat and Buduk Basu, but that is another myth for another day. So anyway, Antaboga arrived at the palace and offered the very last egg to Batara Guru, and Batara Guru was like, hee hee, I like it because it's shiny, and the offer was graciously accepted. Then Batara Guru was like, nest it till it hatches. So Antaboga complied and he nested it, and the egg hatched into a very beautiful baby girl. What are the chances that it wasn't another boar? Am I right? So he gave the baby girl to the Batara Guru and his wife, and they named the baby Sangyang Asri, aka Dewi Sri. And she grew up into a beautiful princess, and she made every god's penis hard, even her adoptive father's. Seeing the Batara Guru be attracted to his own foster daughter, because he was super obvious about it, all the other gods became worried that they would cause a scandal that would upset the heavenly order. So they decided to intervene and do something about it. You want to know what they did? You want to know what they did? The gods were like, okay, let's kill her. Let's kill her so her father won't be horny for her anymore. So they poisoned her, and her body was buried somewhere on Earth, somewhere far, far away. And at that burial site, something magical happened. Because she was a virgin and her body was divine, her body sprouted some very important crops. Some very, very important plants that would benefit mankind forever. From her head grew coconuts. From her nose, lips, and ears grew various spices and veggies. Her hair grew grass. From her breasts grew various fruits, which I think is fitting. Juicy boobies. And from her arms and hands grew teak and various wood trees. And from her genitals grew kawang, which is sugar palm, which is interesting. And from her thighs grew various types of bamboo. From her legs grew various tuber plants, and finally, from her belly button grew an extremely important and useful plant called padi, aka rice. In some other versions, the white rice grew from her right eye, while red rice grew from her left eye. All the useful plants are thought to come from the remnants of Dewi Sri's body. So, because of this myth, the people of Java venerated and revered her as the benevolent and generous goddess of rice and fertility. So that's it for that version. There are some other Dewi Sri myths, some of which involve a particular brother, Sadhana. In the stories with him in it, the setting isn't a heavenly kingdom, but instead a regular human kingdom. So the ruler of Mendang Kamulan, Sri Mahapunggung, one day finds out that his son Prince Sadhana has disappeared. And suddenly, out of nowhere, an embassy from King Pulagra, the ruler of Mendang Kumuang, another kingdom, appears and asks for the hand of the princess, our Dewi Sri. However, she only wanted to marry someone who looks exactly like her brother Prince Sadhana, which is concerning, but I suppose it's better than actually wanting to marry her brother. So she was like, ew, I don't want to marry some random old guy, which, you know, understandable. And so she runs away to try to find her brother. And her father is so mad that he just tells the other king that he can just take her if he finds her. So she ends up running into a rice farmer and his wife who are bringing in the rice harvest. And when she approaches them, they invite her in, but she requests that the house first be cleaned. Which, what the fuck? What a fucking brat! But yeah, she just doesn't give a fuck. She's just, that's rude. And at this point, her pursuers arrive and they try to bring her back into the palace. And they capture the rice farmer who didn't even do anything. He was just trying to live his life and be nice to some deranged girl all by herself. And she has the audacity to flee. So at this point, the god of gods, Batara Guru, has become aware of her plight. So he and another god, Narada, told her where her brother Sadhana was. And they are quickly reunited and they decide to live in the forest together. Or, you know, at least camp there. I'm not really sure. At this point, her pursuers catch up to her and Sadhana single-handedly defeats them all. Not gonna lie, he kind of sounds like a stud. So after that, they set up their little camp in the woods, and Sadhana goes to find some sustenance. And then Dewi Sri is like, oh yeah, those poor farmers. And she sends her brother to go help the rice farmer and his wife, who helped her earlier. And so they're freed, and he and his wife, for some reason, join them in the woods, and they all have a sleepover, I guess. Meanwhile, King Pulagra's men, King Pulagra being the king who wanted to marry Dewi Sri, well, his men, who Sadhana managed to fight off earlier, reported their misadventures, and King Pulagra was like, y'all are fucking useless, you know? I just have to go get her myself then. So he sets out to go look for her. As Dewi Sri welcomes her farmer friends to their forest settlement, King Pulagra and his men arrive, and a battle ensues, in which King Pulagra loses. Which, you know, I have no idea how, because aren't there just like 4 of them, and they don't even have like weapons? Or anything, and King Pulagra is supposed to like have all these weapons and like men and stuff. I guess some people just really live life on easy mode, you know? Fighting off the final boss is that easy. So now Batara Guru and Narada reappear, telling Dewi Sri that she should marry her brother. And they're both like, ew, what the fuck? No way. They were both like, I'll only marry someone who looks exactly like my sibling, nobody else, but I won't marry my sibling. Which, you know, once again, is concerning. So they decide to separate, and the story ends rather abruptly. What does this have to do with rice, you may ask? Well, honestly, I don't really know. In some versions of Dewi Sri's myth, after she flees from the palace, she suddenly disappears. And in the place that she was last seen, a bunch of plants grew. Kind of seems like a bit of an afterthought, honestly. Yeah, once there was a princess who didn't want to marry some ugly old dude, and then she died, and oh yeah, we think rice came from her corpse. Additionally, in some other stories, she and her brother Sedana came out of the eggs that were incubated by the serpent god Antiboga. So I guess in this case he had 2 left in his mouth. Or just 2 to begin with. It's kind of confusing. Dewi Sri was cared for by Dewi Uma, Bhatara Guru's wife, while Sedana was cared for by the god Narada, a Hindu god/sage who is a musician and storyteller that carries news and wisdom. So what happened was that both Dewi Uma and Narada fucked up real bad, so Dewi Sri and Sedana both died. It's kind of like Uma and Narada both had little Tamagotchis, but they just were so irresponsible and they just like forgot to feed them. Did Tamagotchis actually die? Like, I never had one, so I don't know if they actually like died or not, but I'm just assuming they did, if you neglected them for too long, that is. So anyway, after their deaths, Sedana's body became the source of iron, precious metals, diamonds, and etc., while Dewi Sri's body produced all kinds of seeds for different crops. So yeah, that's pretty much it, or that's pretty much it that I managed to find. If you happen to know more about this myth, I would love to hear about it in the comment section below. I'm sure there are a lot of different aspects of this story that I didn't manage to find, and as always, feel free to leave any suggestions for future episodes in the comment section below. And yeah, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!